why the Real Housewives of New York City is on pause, and why that pause speaks volumes. Let's be honest. When people hear that the Real Housewives of New York City is on pause, the reaction isn't shock anymore. It's more like a long sigh. Not because people don't care, but because everyone saw this coming. This pause didn't happen overnight. It wasn't one bad season. It wasn't one cast member. It wasn't one scandal. This was a slow unraveling, years in the making, and now Bravo is standing in the middle of the mess pretending they need time to rethink. But here's the truth. RHONY didn't just lose its sparkle. It lost its center. And once a show about power, privilege, delusion, and aspiration forgets what made it work, all that's left is noise. Let's talk about why RHONY is paused. Not the PR answer, not the polite network spin, but the real reasons fans feel it in their bones. Because RHONY wasn't just a show. It was a mood, a lifestyle fantasy, a social experiment, and now it's a case study in how not to reboot a legacy. RHONY worked because it was never trying to be nice. It wasn't trying to be woke. It wasn't trying to be a brand-safe TED Talk with champagne. It was women behaving badly in beautiful places, saying the wrong thing with confidence, and facing consequences after the cameras stopped rolling. The magic was the contrast. Money mixed with insecurity, success mixed with chaos, and delusion wrapped in couture. Early RHONY didn't need to manufacture drama. The women were the drama. Their lives collided naturally because they lived in the same social ecosystem. Charity luncheons, Upper East Side grudges, Hampton summers, divorce lawyers, PR disasters. This wasn't cosplay. These women actually moved in those spaces. That authenticity, yes, even when it was ugly, is what made RHONY addictive. So when people ask why the show is on pause, the first answer is simple. The show forgot who it was for. Somewhere along the way, Bravo became afraid of RHONY. Afraid of backlash. Afraid of social media. Afraid of controversy. And instead of letting the show evolve naturally, they tried to correct it. They tried to sanitize it. They tried to modernize it in a way that stripped it of its original DNA. RHONY was never supposed to be aspirational in a clean way. It was aspirational in a, thank God my life isn't that messy, way. And once the network started worrying more about optics than storytelling, the cracks began to show. When cast members started censoring themselves on camera, not because they'd grown, but because they were scared, the show lost its rawness. When conversations felt rehearsed instead of reckless, the energy shifted. When scenes felt like HR meetings instead of social warfare, the audience checked out. Reality TV only works when people forget the cameras are there. RHONY stopped forgetting. Then came the reboot. Now listen, reboots aren't automatically bad. But reboots only work when they respect the legacy while introducing something new. RHONY's reboot felt like Bravo throwing the baby out with the Birkin. Instead of building a cast that organically reflected New York's elite social layers, they assembled a group that looked diverse on paper but didn't feel connected in reality. These women didn't share history. They didn't share grudges. They didn't share social capital. They shared a filming schedule. And viewers can always tell the difference. New RHONY felt like a LinkedIn networking brunch with cocktails. Everyone was branding themselves. Everyone was media trained. Everyone was careful. And careful is the death of housewives. There's nothing wrong with successful, modern women, but housewives' success works best when confidence coexists with insecurity. When power coexists with delusion. When money doesn't erase mess. The reboot cast didn't feel messy enough. Or maybe they were messy in ways Bravo didn't know how to edit compellingly. Either way, the spark wasn't there. Another reason RHONY is on pause. The audience fractured. You had legacy fans who felt betrayed. You had new viewers who didn't understand the hype. You had Bravo trying to please everyone, and pleasing no one. Old fans missed the chaos. New fans didn't feel invested. Social media discourse became louder than the episodes themselves. Instead of the show driving conversation, Twitter was rewriting it in real time. And here's the thing. Once fans start watching a show ironically instead of emotionally, it's over. RHONY used to make people feel something: anger, laughter, secondhand embarrassment, fascination. Toward the end, it mostly made people argue about whether it should still exist. That's not engagement. That's exhaustion. Let's also talk about timing. Reality TV is in a weird era right now. Audiences are more media literate than ever. They understand production tricks. They recognize fake storylines. They question motives. They analyze edits. At the same time, social media has shortened attention spans and raised expectations. Viewers want authenticity but also accountability. They want drama but not harm. They want mess but not trauma. RHONY got caught in the middle of that cultural shift, and never quite figured out how to adjust without losing itself. Some franchises leaned into the chaos. Some leaned into reinvention. RHONY hesitated. And hesitation is deadly in reality TV. The pause isn't just about ratings. It's about identity. Bravo doesn't know what RHONY is supposed to represent anymore. Is it legacy chaos? Is it modern New York ambition? Is it social satire? Is it lifestyle branding? Until they answer that, the show can't move forward. Because RHONY without clarity is just women arguing in nice apartments, and we've seen that before. There's also the uncomfortable truth that New York itself has changed. The city's social scene isn't what it was in the late 2000s or early 2010s. Money moves differently. Influence looks different. Power is quieter, more digital, more curated. The original RHONY cast came from an era where wealth wanted to be seen. Today, wealth wants to be protected. That shift makes casting harder. The women who should be on RHONY often don't want to be filmed. And the women willing to be filmed don't always represent the layers viewers expect. That's not a casting failure, it's a cultural one. So why the pause? Because Bravo knows this isn't a quick fix. Because RHONY can't be patched with a cast tweak. Because the brand is too important to rush. And because deep down, they know that if RHONY comes back wrong again, it might not survive a second disappointment. A pause is safer than a flop. But here's the real question, and this is where the podcast turns personal. Do we actually want RHONY back? Or do we just miss who we were when we watched it? Because RHONY represented a time when reality TV felt reckless. When we weren't live tweeting morality. When the mess felt lighter. When escapism didn't come with a think piece. That era is gone. The challenge isn't recreating old RHONY. It's deciding whether a new RHONY is even possible, or necessary. If RHONY returns, it has to commit. Commit to being messy again, intelligently messy. Commit to real social dynamics. Commit to women who aren't auditioning for brand deals. Commit to discomfort, not perfection. And most importantly, commit to storytelling over optics. Because Housewives isn't about role models. It's about reflection. Distorted, exaggerated, uncomfortable reflection. RHONY lost that mirror. The pause is Bravo trying to find it again. Whether they succeed or not, that remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. RHONY isn't paused because it failed. It's paused because it mattered too much to ignore, and too much to mishandle again. And honestly, that might be the most New York ending of all.